My name is Edyth. I am 43 years old. I work as a teacher at a girls' school. After my father died, I was alone. Then I met Ronald at a big hotel. He was 47 years old. He sat at a table and smiled at me. Ronald was kind, smart, and polite. He asked about my life. I told him I had no family, no friends. He listened. I was lonely and I thought Ronald was a good man. We married 5 weeks after we first met. We were strangers in the town. Nobody knew us, and that made everything feel quick and simple. The same afternoon, we made wills for each other. I remember that day clearly. It felt like a dream at first. After our marriage, we moved into a rented house. I was shy. I did not make friends quickly. New people had moved into the house next door. I did not know them well. I liked my own life and my work. Sometimes I sat in the garden and read. Ronald did not like me to be alone there. He watched small things. He watched where I went. Ronald said he worried I might make friends with other women. He called them silly women when I spoke to a neighbor. He did not like me to visit his office either. Ronald told me he was a partner in an engineering company and that he would travel a lot. I asked once to see his office. He looked at me with cold eyes and changed the subject. Ronald did not want me to know too much. At first, I did not notice everything. Ronald was clever at being gentle. He smiled. He liked to look at himself in the mirror. Later, I saw a photograph of Ronald in an old paper and I understood how many times he had done this. I was not Ronald's first wife. He had been married 2 times before. I learned that each of his marriages had followed the same pattern. Ronald used a false name. He went to a holiday place where no one knew him. There, he would meet a middle-aged woman who had money and no family. Ronald dated her until she was in love. Then he asked her to make a will in his favor, leaving her money, her house, everything to Ronald. Then I learned these women had accidents in their baths. Mary, his first wife, had died in a bathroom in a house like ours. The police found nothing wrong. A reporter wrote, "Death in the middle of happiness," and printed pictures of Mary's wedding and funeral. Dorothy, Ronald's second wife, gave him more trouble. Her brother came to the funeral and asked hard questions about the money. There was a court case, but Ronald won, and the insurance company paid him. All that had happened years before I met him. I did not know the truth at first. I only saw a good husband. Ronald spoke about our future. He called me smart and beautiful, and sometimes told me I was being foolish for thinking a man could love at first sight. I wanted to believe him. After a few months in our rented house, I began to feel uneasy. Ronald painted the bathroom, the only room we had painted in the house. He put up a little shelf over the bath for bottles and creams. Ronald fitted a small electric heater on the shelf. There was no electric point in the bathroom, but Ronald had found a way to connect it to a point just outside the door. He told me it was a beauty heater, cheap and useful. Ronald liked the bathroom to be perfect. I trusted him and I let him do small things. But then one day, I found an old newspaper cuttings in the drawer where I kept my blouses. I saw them by chance. They were about women who had died in baths, not long after their weddings. The pictures were small and blurred, but the men standing at the funerals looked very much alike. I froze. It was my husband, Ronald. My heart stopped. For the first time, I felt afraid. I took the clippings to the police. My hands were shaking when I spoke to them. But I told them everything I remembered. They listened carefully. The inspector told me they needed proof. He said, "We cannot arrest a man on a fear alone. We must be sure." He asked me to be brave. He told me that sometimes a woman in my position must play a part so the police can watch. At first, I wanted to run. I wanted to leave, but I also wanted to live. I agreed to help. The inspector and a policewoman moved into the house next door. They said they would watch. They told me they wanted to give Ronald the chance to show what he would really do. The inspector said, "We will make sure you are safe. We will have eyes on the house. We will be ready." That night, I put my important papers in the drawer and locked it. I wrote a letter and put it in the case. In that letter, I told him the truth. I wrote, "Dear Ronald, if you ever read this, I am afraid it will be a terrible shock to you. I know the truth now. When you asked me to make my will, I began to worry. When you changed the bathroom, I acted quickly. I knew what you planned for me. I went to the police. The new people next door are not husband and wife. They are a police inspector and a policewoman. The policewoman showed me an old newspaper pieces about women who died in baths soon after marriage. I could recognize you in those photographs. The inspector told me they are looking for the man. He said he needed proof. He asked me to play my part. If you are reading this letter, it means you have tried to hurt me. You will not find me in the bathroom. I have gone out through the roof into the house next door. The police is waiting for you. I am not your victim. I am safe now. I was stupid to marry you, but not quite as stupid as you think. Yours, Edyth." I folded the letter and I put it in an envelope. I planned the rest with the inspector. He told me the time to go out on the roof. He told me where the ladder would be. He told me the police would be ready when Ronald opened my drawer and read that letter. The day came. Ronald had bought a bottle of liquid and told me it was expensive and good for the skin. Ronald poured it into the water. He said, "Hurry up, dear. The bubbles don't last." Ronald wanted me to lock the door. He wanted me in the bath. I climbed the ladder in the garden. I wanted him to see me there. Ronald said, "What are you doing there, dear?" I said, "Just a small job before my bath." Ronald laughed. I went in and locked the door. The water was warm. The bubbles smelled of roses. I lay down in the bath and pretended to relax. I could hear Ronald moving outside. He pulled the handle of the electricity switch to turn the power off so the heater would fall. I heard the heater click and then a loud noise in the kitchen. The house went quiet. For a moment I felt trapped, but I kept very still. The inspector had told me to wait. He told me not to panic because Ronald must be given the chance to show what he would do. Ronald did exactly as the inspector expected. He waited. Then he walked into the bedroom. He opened the drawer where I kept my papers. He found out my letter and the savings book. Ronald opened the savings book. He read the figures. His breathing changed when he saw that I had taken all my money out 5 days ago. His eyes moved quickly over the envelope. He pulled it open and read the letter. I could not see him, but I knew he was reading my words because I heard his breath catch. I heard heavy steps on the stairs and a voice. "Mr. Ronald, you are under arrest." The inspector and the policewoman were there. They had been ready. They came straight in and they found me in the bath. There were wet bubbles on my face, but I was alive. They found the heater, the wires, and the electric point. They found the cloth Ronald had used to hide his fingerprints. Ronald could not speak. He could not move. Later, the police opened their files and looked at the old cases. The policewoman had the photographs that matched the men at those funerals. Ronald could not hide. He was careful, but he had been too clever for his own good. After that night, there were court papers and questions. I had to answer many questions. It was hard, but I felt stronger than I had before. I kept my job at the school. My colleagues were kind and they helped. It took time before I could sleep well. Sometimes I still wake up in the night. But I am alive. I learned that being shy is not the same as being weak. I do not say I am happy. I say only that I am safe and living. If you ever feel fearful about someone close to you, tell someone. You must not keep it inside. It could save your life. If you liked this story, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.